India, China resolved dispute over large segment of border, says Madhav. The BJP leader insisted that the status quo at Doklam was being maintained by the three parties involved, China, India and Bhutan. Loading. Beijing, ahead of the 21st round of India-China boundary talks, senior Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP) leader Madhav on Wednesday said a dispute over a large segment of the border with China had been resolved, barring the western sector, and the negotiations were moving in the positive direction. India and China have so far held 20 rounds of special representative-level talks to resolve the dispute over the 3,488 km long line of actual control. The next round of talks is due to be held between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in the coming weeks. The talks are moving in the positive direction, BJP General Secretary Madhav, who is currently visiting China, told the media here. It is not true. Most of the time, those who are engaged in talks don't disclose day-to-day progress. They want to achieve certain milestone, then only they will disclose, he added, refuting the perception that the border talks have not made much headway. As far as I know, issues with large segments of our border have been resolved. There are few areas where negotiations are still going on, he said. Asked whether the understanding he referred to also applied to a section of Arunachal Pradesh which China claims as part of South Tibet, Madhav said, I cannot say anything on those things. But mostly the western sector is where major issues are there. Some areas are yet to be delimited. That I think will continue in 21st round. It is an inherited problem for us. He also sounded positive about achieving a political consensus with the opposition parties if any agreement is reached between two countries. He played down differences over a report on Doklam prepared by Parliament Standing Committee on External Affairs headed by Congress leader Shashi Tharoor. Until now we had bipartisan consensus on issues like border talks. As we move closer to elections in India, every issue becomes a political issue, he said, in an apparent reference to the committee's report. The report you are mentioning, that was not the spirit in which we used to handle the issue, but having said it, there will be bipartisan consensus on these border negotiations, he said, adding that it is not a problem initiated by the BJP. We are continuing the talks and taking them forward, he said, adding that the border talks mechanism is working. As far as I know, the mechanism is working. We had so many rounds of talks without any complaints from either side. Things are moving, generally in the positive direction. I don't know of any other plans, he said. On Doklam, he insisted that the status quo prevailed at the standoff site which is being maintained by all three parties, China, India and Bhutan. The 73-day standoff last year began when Chinese troops tried to construct a road close to India's border. Indian troops objected to the road in the territory claimed by Bhutan as it came close to the Indian highway. The standoff ended in late August after both sides agreed to disengage. There is no change in the status quo. What existed earlier, exists today, Madhav said. India's main issue in the area is with respect to the tri-junction because it has been agreed earlier that it should not be moved, he said. Referring to reports of build-up by the Chinese troops in areas close to the standoff site, he said, what a country does on its side is its prerogative. Can we comment on it? Right now, status quo is being maintained there. When Doklam happened, the policy adopted by our government was proactive diplomacy together with strong positioning on the ground. This combination has helped in achieving good results on Doklam issue, he said. Our position with regard to border and trade deficit with China is clear and strong position. To address these issues, proactive diplomacy is the best way, he added. As far as the government position is concerned, the status quo, which we wanted to be maintained there when Doklam dispute happened, is being maintained by all the three sides, he added. On the ballooning trade deficit which touched about $51 billion last year and over $84 billion bilateral trade, Madhav said, definitely there are conscious efforts being made by both the governments to bridge the gap. I am sure in the coming days we will be able to improve the situation. Today it is $51 billion. Even if we bring down by $20 minus $30 billion, it is a major achievement, he said. On the first informal summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping at Wuhan, he said, the Wuhan spirit is a new phase between the two countries. Not formal but strongly informal relationship between the two countries. Both the countries should continue the spirit, he said. Modi and Xi now enjoy a personal bond. That helps. Understanding between the leaders is always helpful in overcoming differences, he said. Other neighbors are telling us that they are very happy that the two countries have good ties at the summit level, the BJP leader said. On China stepping up ties with India's neighbors, Madhav said India has very good relations with Nepal, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. Maldives is a persisting problem for a couple of years, we're trying to sort it out, he added. He said both India and China should step up people-to-people contact. Madhav said the ties between the BJP and the ruling Communist Party of China were improving.